Annabel Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe was a writer and poet in the 1800s. One of his later works was Annabel Lee and was published after his death in 1849. Juliet Lapidus wrote in the Paris Review Perspective that many of his writing was influenced by his wife's struggle with tuberculosis, and this poem may have been influenced by her loss. This poem is told from Annabel's lover. They must have been young when they met because he says, "I was a child and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea." They must have also been married because he says that she was his bride. He believed many were jealous of their love. He blames the angels for sending down a wind and killing her because they were envious of their love. He says that no one can separate their souls because how strong their love is. And he was very devoted to her, but quite to an extreme that he lies by her body every night. The sound of the poem makes it very memorable. The cadence flows like waves you could imagine gently crashing upon the shore of this kingdom by the sea. There is a lot of repetitive rhyme throughout the poem, with lines ending in words like see, lee, me, and we that create a very calming wave-like sound. There is also a lot of repetition in the poem that Poe uses very strategically to create a mood and to make things stand out when they do not flow like the rest. A lot of the lines flow very smoothly from line to line, and when they do not, they stand out, especially like the word tomb at the end of the poem that stands out and pulls together the eeriness of the mood out of the calming sound. In the philosophy of composition, Poe says that the most poetic tone is melancholy, and the most poetic topic is the death of a beautiful woman, and who to tell better than by a lover? When analyzing this poem, the question that comes up is whether the narrator is simply a lover or a madman. When you first read the poem, he seems to be a dedicated lover. But as you look at what he says closer, there seems to be something more. You first see something in the line where he says, "And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me." Instead of saying how much he loved her, he starts off declaring that she had no other thought than to be loved by him. And then he goes on to say that the angels were jealous of them because of their love. He seemed very insistent and threatened by everything. Also, in the way that he says the high-born kinsman came and bore her away from him and shut her up, as if it were wrong even though she was dead. He goes on to declare that neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And this may seem very sweet, but then he goes on to say that he lies by her body at her tomb every night. And this is the point where you really start to question whether he is simply a devoted lover or if he was mad. And this is a constant occurrence in Poe's writing, men that were literally crazy, so this is very likely with the narrator of Annabel Lee. So the question comes up when you're analyzing this poem, whether you see him as simply a lover or a madman. Here is my works cited.